Yeah, I just turned 27 and I feel ancient now. It's like, oh.
You're the youngest in the room, I think.
Welcome, Capital Hardcore Fest 2024. Doing more scope mini pods with a bunch of fantastic people. We got Grant and Gill from ABRUPT DECAY.
Hey.
Thanks for joining me and Jordan, who's behind the cameras this time.
Of course, yeah, we're stoked.
Thank you so much for having us. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think that the idea of this actually was prompted because Grant at the Bull in February kind of like, what is that term? Like
Interrupted.
Photobombed the interviews, and it was like, "Yo, sorry."
Like, I'm not even from there. I'm from the North End, so
Yeah. Grant, you're gonna come say Grant has to play in a little bit.
I came to warm up right now, so
sup?
yell somewhere else.
Okay. I'm trying to warm up. See ya. Yeah. And I was like, I think Grant doing one of these makes sense. So.
Yeah, shout out means to an end.
Yeah,
for real.
That was a very fun time. So obviously it was funny before we got recording. Joe was like, I need to go to get a bud, and I was like, absolutely not, because for these scope mini pods we bring a choice of beds for our guests.
Oh, I already know what you're going for once you get to it.
Everything's curated. What's going through your mind, Jill, as you're selecting some of these?
There are some beautiful things in here. I
This is
don't even know where to start.
by me. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh.
The obligatory
Yeah,
DC.
we have to have some Simple Man Diet Coke choices for sure.
No.
Triple dose latte.
I'll get mine out of the way because I've been perplexed by this. This is
Ooh.
Sprite Lemonade Legacy.
Oh my god.
I have no idea, but I saw the can and I was like, I need to get this. I'm not even a big Sprite guy, but
It's a sick can too.
yeah.
The best beverage I've ever had was something called 7-Up. What was it? It was like Tropical Twist.
Dang.
It was available for one summer. I think in like 2015 or 2016.
Okay.
Never really came back. Best drink I've ever had. The Sprite Lemonade tastes so close to it.
Okay.
Like real close.
Yeah.
It's really
so
good.
you have had this before.
Not the Legacy. I don't know. That looks
Wait.
like it looks like
Celebrating 50
Pepto-Bismol's
years of
added.
hip hop. Like I don't.
What?
There's more questions the more I look at this can.
The closer you look, the more questions there are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with this one. This one sounds really nice. Just a blood orange soda from Sicily.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That does sound nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, cute can too.
Jack, who runs What It Takes blog, and co-hosts the Listen Up podcast with me, big blood orange soda or flavor kind of person. So
yeah.
I saw that, thought of them, and wanted to stock it up. So
Hell yeah,
yeah, I think
love
that's
it.
good. Grant, you want to
hopping
take
over?
a peek? See?
I'm gonna take a peek. I already know.
I knew it.
The biggest can, the biggest can.
This is the second best beverage of all time. Is Arizona fruit punch. It's like going extinct. I used to buy flats of this in college for like, I don't know, we bought like packs of 30 and they would last us not long at all.
Right.
Not long enough. Yeah. Oh God.
Well, let's get Grant to crack it, and then we can all cheers. Yeah. To Edmonton and Lethbridge hardcore.
Oh,
Let's do that.
Thank
Edmonton
you.
and
Hell yeah.
Lethbridge hardcore. Hell yeah.
So speaking of, that was definitely something that I wanted to chat with y'all. I know this leans a little bit more on your side, Joe, but like both of y'all being from Lethbridge and seeing kind of a bit of a resurgence that's happening right now is really, really cool. Especially for someone that just is very. I try to keep my eyes on everything going on Western Canada wise, and to see that happening right now is very, very cool. Is there any thought as to why that might be happening? Obviously there's things like the pandemic, but I'm just kind of curious from your guys' angle as more of the locals from that scene.
Sure. Yeah, and I think right now it's kind of like it always goes without saying that the pandemic is like really, because even what we're seeing in Calgary here with so many people coming out, but every show that we've done the past year, there's new faces. And for a little bit there, we were having shows at this venue called The Slice, and it's only 18 plus. So that kind of limited us. Having 18 plus shows all the time was not what we wanted to stay doing.
Right.
So once we opened it up to all ages, started seeing so many kids coming out. Like we had Snake Pit there on Tuesday, just a few days ago. Almost sold out, but I've never seen so many kids at a show before, like just killing each other, and it fucking rocked. It was so good. I think giving those kids kind of like the space, I mean, for me, that was the age when I started really getting into hardcore and like heavier music, and having spaces that allowed me to go like all ages shows is kind of like, yeah, what helped
Yeah.
my formative years.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. We just released a podcast earlier this last week with someone that was mentioning that like there's unfortunately like even old heads who are like, well, what's the point in doing like all ages shows? And I know that that's like the 1% of the 99% of hardcore that's like, of course all ages shows need to exist. This is a youth centric genre. But yeah, it's like, are you starting to see a shift now where it's like the attendance at the shows is good, but like, you know, like Abrupt Decay and Fatal Dose are some of the only Lethbridge bands, at least that are like predominantly in the hardcore scene. Are you seeing like the snowball effect kind of build with some other stuff, or you know that you know of people starting new bands?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and this is also to give them credit because an incredible band from Lethbridge called 4BPM. Okay. They're kind of like starting out. They're all kids that are like 20 years old and starting to get more shows. I believe some of their friends are getting into more music more, and I made an announcement at our last show too, like just start a band, like just get on these bills, like because you don't know where it can go from there. And yeah, I hope to see a lot more of that. And yeah, I think people like the representation part of it matters, right? So seeing people that are like closer in age to them doing music, I hope that makes them think like, oh, like word, that means I can do it too.
Right. Yeah, it's not just like, oh, here are all the
old heads of hardcore.
Well,
whatever.
I was about to say the boomers, but now it's even people who are like millennials are now in the old head category, myself included.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I just turned 27 and I feel ancient now. It's like, oh.
You're the youngest in the room, I think.
It's all downhill from here.
It really is, yeah.
I know another thing, you know, the EP that you guys dropped, I guess it's just past a year old now?
It's almost a year.
Yeah, April 21st, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of April dates. Jill's birthday's in April, our anniversary's in April, so yeah. I think
the next show in Lethbridge is in April.
It's in April. Yeah, there's too many
It's
April dates.
actually like all in a row pretty much too.
Yeah. Lots coming up.
Yeah. So I think I was really honestly impressed because I think that there are a few bands that can do the style of math influence metalcore right, and I feel like you guys are really just have it dialed in.
Oh, thank you.
Like, Grant, I think I spoke to you like when I saw the addition of Jill into the band, I was like, that just feels like the unnecessary, the piece that I didn't know was necessary to kind of make you guys like truly a powerhouse.
Totally.
So I'm kind of curious on like what's like coming up as far as new music and more shows and getting outside of Alberta as a whole.
Yeah, so we have some. Man, there's.
It's always
what can we say?
Yeah, exactly. There is something really cool coming this summer regarding some new music. I can't speak too much to that because it's happening very soon. What I will say is we do have another LP written at this point. We're just kind of waiting for some announcements this summer. And then I think we're going to be kind of hitting the studio probably end of this year, early next year is kind of what we're shooting for. We do currently have some new music that is done and dusted. It's just waiting to come out now, basically. Then this summer, we will be touring Western Canada and going out east quite a bit more than we have in the past, which is cool. There's some new scenes that hit us up that I've been in and out of bands for, I don't know, over a decade now. And like even some places that I've never really played before has hit us up. So yeah, it's going to be really cool new experience.
Eastern Canada? as well?
Yeah, it'll be Eastern Canada. So yeah, just planning some logistics right now with another band from out there, and then hopefully I think in like the next like 2 or 3 weeks we're gonna have some big announcements. So yeah.
Speaking of math. Is that something that it's like here's your test? It's not nothing like that. Is that kind of do you feel like that's an accurate description of I guess your guys' genre?
This is something that has been getting asked to us since day one, and I never know how to answer it because honestly, like
I took consumer math.
I have a learning disability in math. Like I literally, I'm not good at math. It's not. I don't know. I think it's like maybe an apt descriptor of the side of us you have seen now. I think that there is. It's still very fast. It's still very heavy, but there's a newer element coming to our music. I think that has kind of been hinted at with like the difference between our LP and our EP kind of thing. It's coming out, so I think that'll add a bit more. Just another dimension to it that we haven't really explored yet. And I think that'll push us further into the math genre.
It's kind of an interesting exercise to compare a study or like a class from school to a hardcore band or heavy music bands. Like, oh, this is definitely some like gym class, music or some like sociology or world issues or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Has the since joining the band, Jill, has the writing process changed at all, like with what you do in the band, or is it kind of stayed the same and you add a few seasonings and spices on top?
So I think right now we're still playing with that a little bit, but because the way Abrupt Decay started was 100% like Grant's bedroom, our living room project forever, for years. That's all it was. And so Grant continues to be the primary writer for everything. And once we actually start to hit the studio is when we'll be figuring out like the best place for me for adding in my noise elements and and the scratches and stuff like that too. I guess noise and sounds is kind of how sampling, stuff like that. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. And I like to consider it like chaotic, noisy hardcore, especially the newer stuff.
Yeah. And I guess like sometimes it's hard to even like say the title like of someone that does like all the different types because you're scratching so many different itches for people. So is it just your DJG? It breaks down and then Grant's the vocalist and Noah's the guitarist.
The favorite one that because I went into this like I have no idea like what I want to coin myself if anything, but the favorite one that I've gotten is just D Jill.
D Jill?
Yeah. So like just the letter D before my name basically. But I also really like just like noises and sampling or like noise and sampling because that Full of Hell pedal is my pride and joy.
Like what goes into like, because obviously there's stuff that you can create organically with like some pedals and different things, but is there like any specific like movies or stuff that you're like, oh, I could take this and then slow it down and add a shit ton of reverb? Like, is there anything specifically that's like a big inspo for you when it comes to doing that?
Oh, that's a good question. I think in general, with just the handful of times that I've played with like pulling samples from movies, for example, and turning those into something, just horror movies are like my big inspo for that. Elements of horror movies, like one of our samples that we play, it's right before Whispers. It has like Mia Goth from X and Pearl.
Mia Goth.
Yeah, Mommy Goth. But it has her like final girl scream layered in there. So just like goofy things like that. Or like sampling like goofy TV shows. Like we've sampled King of the Hill before and like I've just thrown no, literally I've just thrown some scratches in with that and so whatever just kind of like floats around in our group chat we kind of play with.
I think that I personally like. I pull a lot of inspiration from movies for lyrics, and especially books. I'm a big fan of Cormac McCarthy. He wrote like No Country for Old Men, like a lot of like neo-Western stuff like that.
I think you might have mentioned that when you did the podcast with Chris.
Yeah.
Because I listened to that.
Okay. Oh, crazy. Yeah. I love taking inspiration from outside sources and just like turning it into a song kind of thing. Just I don't know. It just does something for me. There's a song on the EP, the last song that isn't a cover. It's called "The Garden of Gethsemane," and it's about Excuse me. It was really inspired by the show on Netflix called Midnight Mass.
Okay.
And that show, just kind of touches on like religion and how you can fall into believing things really deeply. And that was, if you haven't seen the show, reading the lyrics makes like a lot more sense if you have kind of thing. But
do you know if it's still streaming or if it's
it's a Netflix original. So I doubt it'll ever leave that place.
Like,
so
this stays forever. We'll cycle through Friends with everyone else, but
Exactly. But I tend to pull a lot of stuff from movies, music, books, especially on the next album. There's a song that's really inspired by what's that Stanley Kubrick film? Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you've seen that weird like just like cult movie. There's a couple of things that really, really inspired a couple songs on the next LP. So
is there like, because I know lyrically, and you talked a lot about this in that podcast with Chris that I mentioned. It's just like there was a lot of like talking about your religious upbringing and some of the things that you had to like unlearn and some of that. And I identified that a lot, not growing up as a Catholic, but growing up in the like I went to a K-12 Christian not even high school, just school.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of things that I had to come to terms as an adult that's like, this is fine with the upbringing, but all this other stuff can fuck off, for lack of a better term.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm just kind of curious if you are continuing with some of those things, because obviously I'm sure there's like so much for you to write about, or if you want to keep that as like self-contained within that last record that you guys did.
So I think a couple, it is definitely changing, where like I'm a very political person. I work in healthcare. I tend to be a very progressive person, and I think that especially like with our current political climate and socioeconomic climate in Canada and specifically in Alberta is super vitriolic and kind of awful right now. I think a lot of that will have to do with the next record, but there is still at least a couple of songs that are about specific things that happened to me that I didn't really get a chance to talk about on the last couple of records. So it will stay quite personal. I still write most of my lyrics before like any of the songs are formed or anything like that, and just kind of build around them. And that like lyrics or lyrically, everything is super important to me. Like every line really goes through like a lot of thought and care. And I think that'll really come off on the next record for sure. Yeah,
I'm very excited to hear all those things. We'll talk afterwards as far as when we're releasing this episode to help push all that news and
awesome
good stuff. How are we doing on the bevs? We're liking what we're tasting.
This is fantastic.
I haven't had one of these literally. I think in a year. I think last time I had one was in Vancouver last year. So I'm vibing.
Yeah. It's always funny because like I think some people outside, like as soon as I got here, I was like, Dan, this is your fest. What can I get you for energy drinks? Because I'm sure that you'll need it. But it's also a prized possession because I'm not just putting my hand and like letting all the bevs fall into the cart. I'm like hand selecting, gotta get some of this, a little bit of that. So
curated with love. That's
don't be telling anyone that there's good shit back here.
Deal. Yeah, that's our
Everyone
secret.
will be running back here.
Yeah, exactly. As we're kind of heading towards the close, I don't think we did this for the MLB stuff, but I think because we end our main interviews on like a mosh related story. That's like kind of like the go-to thing. But I feel like I want to do that, but the difference, because it's a mini episode, is you can only say it in one sentence. So a mosh story in only one sentence. This is me thinking of this on the fly too.
Do it.
Are you talking about
Yeah.
your shoulder?
At an undisclosed time in an undisclosed location, I may have broken my arm practicing spin kicks.
Okay.
That's
One sentence.
yes.
Yeah, that's one sentence.
Yes. There was commas, but yes, that is grammatically correct.
Sometimes I'm like, man, I've added too many commas and this paragraph is still sentence.
We're running on in this house, baby.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
We could also say, comma, it involves.
That's too much.
Yeah, believe it.
In January, Zach broke my foot two-stepping at congealed flesh. Or during a congealed flesh set, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to pop my toe back in. It was not a good time.
I almost want to have these as like, the inspirational quotes. Like have just a screenshot of this interview and then it's just that's
People walk into your interview. It's one of them.
yeah.
That'd be good. Oh no. I could have said something way smarter.
Yeah. Is that Jill's, or Jill, do you have one separately that you want to share?
I don't have one separately.
Okay.
Jill's not a mosher.
I'm not.
What?
I am not a mosher. I have a. Yeah, I am not a mosher. But I will say I do love a head walk.
Oh, that's a sentence. I'm
is
not a
one sentence.
mosher, but I will say, I will head walk a motherfucker. That's fucking sick. But honestly, thank you guys for joining me and checking some bevs. Gonna put all the Abrupt Decay links in the video. But anything you want to shout out or plug real quick?
Word. Shout out Scoped Exposure. Shout out Capital Hardcore. Shout out DOA and shout out Libertine. Alberta Hardcore on top, baby.
Yeah. Again, just shout out 4BPM. Those kids fucking rock. And shout out everyone that is starting a band and going to shows right now.
Yeah.
Big love.
Yeah, big love. Did I know Destiny from Be About It did the whole post about the start a band or blank hardcore wants you to start a band. Did you guys get one for the left?
We sure did.
Thank you, Destiny.
Yeah.
Shout
You
out
rule.
Destiny.
Shout out. Well, I'm really excited to see y'all later today for the Abrupt Decay set, and thanks again for doing this.
Thanks so much.
You.
One last cheers.
Cheers, baby.